Hey guys, it's Froggy here. Today we're going to discuss the story, The Stormy Steakout. Right, once again we're talking about Beyond the Map's Edge, Justin Posey's wonderful, amazing treasure hunt that we're all having so much fun doing. Alright, The Stormy Steakout. If you have a hardback first edition, it's going to be on page 121. Most of the time, this story I don't really rely heavily on. There's some stories that are just full of what I call poem words, or full of phrases that use words that are in the poem, or full of stories about locations that are important to him. I do think this story is important to him because it's one of the very few stories in the book that focuses on Jenny, right, his wife, and it's one of the very few stories where it's just him and her. So I do think it's pretty important. Because it's not back-to-back, I have this running theme of stories that are back-to-back have a little bit more significance. For instance, the back-to-back Victoria Peak, the back-to-back loophole stories, the back-to-back fishing stories, back-to-back with his dad and his grandpa. But this story, so him and Jenny are separated by just one story, Trailside Troubles, right? Because we have the Beano. So it would have made sense in my mind to put these two together, but you have the Beano in between. And I don't know, we have a timeline for this, sunset of 2003, right? Do we have a timeline for Trailside Troubles to see if maybe it actually did take place in between? But he's played loose with the timeline before, so I don't know. For a bunch of reasons, I don't really consider this story. I don't pull a lot from it. I don't use a lot of things from here in my solves most of the time, other than other than lately I've been trying to see if this is sort of a hint for us to use like a visual puzzle, but I felt like he would have included that if he said, there's two things, one's a cipher, one's a technical clue. Maybe he would have said there's three things, right? One's like a visual puzzle, or maybe this is more of a hint for a boots on the ground, that when you look at something from a distance, it'll be different from when you get up close. It's hard for me to fathom or come up with an example right now, but those are just ideas I'm playing with, right? But we're going through the book story by story, so we're going to read the story, and there's a few things I'll call out, right? But just full disclosure, this isn't one of my heavy chapters, right? He says clues are sprinkled throughout. This one he might have missed in a sprinkle. All right, so I do like that it has a timeline, because if you're trying to set the whole book to a chronological timeline, this is one of the numbers, right? 2003. So Jenny's call disrupted would have been a perfectly ordinary evening, right? There's nothing really massive other than setting the stage that there's a storm coming, right? So, he's telling a good story, good storytelling practice. He has a little bit of foreshadowing here, right? We've got an Arizona monsoon that's going to last, it looks like, at least 2 days. And there's nothing about the story that's crazy, unbelievable. I think it really happens. I think the evidence that it does happen is further evidenced by the Pink Panther Umbrella Award, right? So obviously the story was funny enough that, he shared it with the family, shared it around with friends, and, Uncle Steve, right? Who I'm trying to remember if we've heard from Uncle Steve before. I'll have to go back and pull that up. I don't have it on my list right now. But a family member finds it important to commemorate like a little trophy and give it to him, right? So this is probably a story that the family's familiar with, that they all chuckle about. Anyways, so very quickly, I'm not going to spend too much time on this video. Very quickly, in a short, what happens is is Jenny, right, his girlfriend? Does he even say girlfriend at the time? He says he got the girl, right, at the end of Beano. In the end, I may have lost my dignity, but I got the girl. So they're probably are going steady, right? They're probably dating at this time. I don't know if I actually see... Oh, yeah, boyfriends for. Okay, 122. After all, what are boyfriends for? So there you go, they're dating. All right, so she's house sitting in the middle of a storm, and she sees what she thinks is a... I'm trying to remember what YouTube says I can and can't say. She sees a pervert out there doing an indecent act in the patio, right? And it's funny, even Justin tries to... This book, for the most part, is very family friendly. If you just stumbled across this video and you're not sure about this book, it's very family friendly. Pretty easy to read too, right? So the words here, I'm chuckling. He says, I'll paint with careful strokes. Odd choice of word there, strokes. Our protagonist was engaged in a passionate solo performance. That's a nice way to put it. and passionate truly understates the vigor and artistry, right? So, you know, he's tongue-in-cheek, right? He's being a little coy, right? He's keeping it PG, but he's using some words that will vividly describe what's going on, right? And so most of the book is them trying to deal with the storm, trying to catch this pervert, trying to figure out what his deal is. And the culmination, right, at the very end is Justin goes out there. He has a disposable camera, like a Boy Scout Swiss Army knife, ever prepared, right? And this is a little bit like end of my timeline or like my coming of age. I remember everyone having disposable cameras, like going to a party or going to the beach and you'd buy one. 7-Eleven sold them, right? Convenience stores. If you're going on a trip, you want to buy one, make memories. But we also had Polaroids. And like at the end of my college days, end of my high school days, people had camera phones and were already like taking pictures and sending pictures like that, right? So I'm a little bit younger than Justin. But I do recall, right, people having portable cameras, right? Sometimes girls carried them in your purse, right? If you're going hiking, you have one in your backpack. Anyway, so the culmination, right, he goes out, he's like, I'm going to catch this guy, and he gets there, and the funny thing is that, here's what I think that might be a little bit of a lesson here, is that, okay, he's a smart guy, right, so you're looking at it, and I know it's a storm, you're looking at it, and you know that this guy is standing right about here, and so he goes around the backyard, runs to the front door, goes around the backyard, gets to where the guy would be, right, spatially aware, and then he can't find him. And then he turns to the house and he sees, you know, Jenny saying, he's right there, he's right there, he's right there. And he's looking, he backs up. So I really, on the second and third reading, I feel like maybe this is what he's saying. Like, you have to change your distance to see something. And maybe it's not an actual, let's see if I'm trying to communicate this. Maybe it's not an actual thing like, oh, you watched the Netflix doc. Sorry, I just bit my tongue. You watch the Netflix doc, like standing right like this to the screen. Okay, you can see something here. Versus stand at the far end of the room and look and, okay, maybe I'll see something there. I don't think that's the message he's trying to convey. It may be something that you have to visualize in your head looks different in a way. Like maybe, okay, this is a rough example, but like mountain peaks. Maybe like up close a mountain is this thing, but if you stand like on the other side of the state and you look at the mountains, like they look like this, or I don't know. It's just it's an early concept I'm playing with, mainly because I'm trying to pull something from each chapter. I know that not every chapter has it, but I don't want to miss it, right? So I'll pull something from every chapter, and then at the end we'll have a list and we can see, okay, you know, what's the top 24 versus what's the lowest 24, right? So maybe that's all where is I'm trying to get here. There's no if I look back for actual words used or like phrases used, nothing really jumps out to me. I mean, okay, we mentioned some states, we got some numbers mentioned, right? So, you know, if you're trying to pull some cipher out of here, you know, you can do that. If you're doing a heat map of all the places mentioned, yeah, you also obviously want to put down Tucson and Arizona, right? I don't know if you're going to count it twice or count it once. I mean, if you're counting media mentioned, right, the full Monty, which I don't know if it's a recommendation to see the full Monty, but you know, he's got it in parentheses. I mean, in italics, right, on page 123. So it's referencing it. What else? Yeah, I'm not recommending you watch it. That's not my channel. What else we have in italics? You know, his page 124, his internal thoughts. And then, yeah, there's nothing really, Vegas. All right, so there's a shout for Vegas. You know what? That's new. I hadn't really noticed that before. And I want to say Vegas might be mentioned a couple other times. But we haven't really had a lot of Nevada mentions, so to see Vegas in there, it's a good one. That's page 124, right? The bottom, I'll read the sentence because in my head, I can hear somebody asking. At precise distance and angle. Okay, that's a good one, right? Precise distance and angle. A lot of people are trying to mess with that. It rivaled any Vegas performance. Not a pervert after all, just a monsoon mirage. Nice little alliteration right there, monsoon mirage. All right, yeah, there's really nothing else I really pull from this historically. I mean, I'm doing my best to try to not force something to fit, but at the same time, I don't want to skip over anything. And that's all really the big things I pulled from there. All right, so I'm not gonna dwell on it longer just for video's sake. The only other thing I wanted to cover in this video is Last night, thanks to Discord, a bunch of people were on there. We were talking about the checkpoint again, and I hesitate sometimes to bring it up in Discord or in any group chats because this has been discussed over and over and over again. So, my channel, my time, I'll bring it up, and then if anyone wants to engage, you can leave a comment on the video, right? But I'm watching it again because I've done about 4 or 5 solves, none that I believe to go boots on the ground in, although this last one's pretty close. But each time I sit back and think when I get to the place, man, I didn't hit a checkpoint. What process, what did I come across that could have been a checkpoint? And I know a good portion of you are saying, well, you have to go boots on the ground to see the checkpoint. All right, we're just going to table that for now. That is a very strong possibility, but let's go ahead and just pretend it's not, right? Because why not? So Justin says several times the exact phrase "for lack of a better term," right? So that in Calzar and K-Pro's interview, he says that in the Dylan Q&A, right? For lack of a better term. It's in the transcript. It's in his own video that he posted. And my issue with that is, if the checkpoint was something on the ground physically that you can run up and touch or take a picture of, there are terms for that. It's not for lack of a better term. One term is a clue. A lot of people are looking at places on the map where double arcs meet, where waters are, silent waters flight. They're looking where you can cast your pole. Those are all physical places, right? So any one of those would serve as a checkpoint, right? Because it's someplace you'd meet. Because if the poem's consecutive, right, from top to bottom, as he says, then you'd hit any one of those. So for lack of a better term, there's tons of terms for that. A mark, a blaze, a sign. I mean, there are words to communicate a physical object, a physical place that indicates that you're unequivocally, without a doubt, those are his words, not mine, trending in the right direction, right? So my issue for that is we have words for that. The dude's a wordsmith. He's got an impressive vocabulary. He knows the words for it. So if we're thinking, okay, he's got a statue, he's got a tree that looks like this, a rock that looks like this, whatever. He's got whatever's out there. And remember, he didn't put anything out there. That's again from the Dylan Q&A. When he's asked about Fenn's blaze, did you leave a blaze, right, or a marker out there? He says, I didn't put anything out there. And then and a lot of people are equating the second part of his answer with what he says when he says, there's something out there that, I'm gonna butcher this quote, astronomically, I can't say that word, I don't know why, astronomically low chance that it's destroyed, then it's not fair because we'd be looking for it and he'd let us know, right? That indicates to me that it's big, it's massive, it's been there for a while, it's sturdy, it's not something he can transport by himself. You're going to need a wrecking crane or something massive to transport this thing, right? It's not something he just puts in the back of his car, because anything that small can be anything that small can be destroyed by flood, fire, earthquake, right? Pretty much anything you can fit in your car can be moved by nature. So that leads me to believe that he's using something natural, right? Again, we're building off all these supposition, that's not the right word, all these theories I'm proposing are mainly running off his Q&A answers, right? There is a way that you could use only natural landmarks. Then he talks, well, there's one thing that you could quibble over because there's, again, separate ways to get there. Or maybe you skip the step or miss the step, whatever. I'm getting away from my original point. So let me take a nice little sip break. I'm telling you, you got to get yourself one of these cups. All right. The checkpoint. I really don't think it's something that's out there. Now, I'm not entirely discrediting it, right? I'm 50-50 on it. If I'm not going to go out of my way to look for it, but hopefully, because this is his words, right? You may, in the process, you may come across it, right? Not stumble, but you may come across it, or you may not. So it's part of the research. It's part of the solving the hunt as you're working your way through it. If it's a clue that he intended, then you would go across it. But if you're saying you may, it's something that you're looking up. The point I'm trying to say is I think it's something that's, this is really controversial, something that's online. And I know people are saying, well, is that the technical aspect? I don't know. I don't know if I would say something you're researching, and we all do this, right? We've all typed in what Granite Mountains Reservoir Wisdom. We've all typed in all these things into Google. Google, show me everything that says hope in the West. Show me all the rivers that have anything to do with wisdom. Like we've all like searched stuff like that, right? So is it possible there's something out there that and did he create? I mean, I don't know what I'm looking for. It's not the websites that I thought I found a couple of weeks ago. It's not those. Is it some kind of site that's already out there that he has an affiliation with? That I don't know. All I'm saying is because of his answers, I don't think that the checkpoint is something physically out there that you can go up, run up and touch, that someone can run up and mess with. That right? I mean, so what else could it be? I don't know. I don't have that figured out yet. But maybe if other people, share their comments, or you don't have to share, right? This is just something to get your thinking about. Okay, so 50-50. Maybe the checkpoint is something that's physically out there that he didn't put, right? He didn't put it out there, but it's something out there naturally that he's using. Which why wouldn't he call it a clue? I don't know. He ran out of stanzas, or he had to make it only 5 stanzas and 20 lines, so he threw another clue that's out there. Very well, it could be that. That could be the answer. I don't know. It's just something that's been on my brain lately. All right, so if you're interested, just rewatch the Dylan Q&A. I prefer looking at the one that he posted on his website because the audio is mashed up and the visual is pretty clear. Other than toward the end, there's a couple pan shots. Like they zoom in, the cameraman just zooms in on this couple, which I apologize. Maybe they're related to Justin, or maybe they're famous. I just didn't recognize them. But the cameraman's just like zooming in on this young blonde lady and I guess her boyfriend or something, like brother. I don't know what the relationship is. I shouldn't guess, but just like zoomed in on him. And Justin's talking. I'm like, I'm trying to watch Justin. It's just it's weird, man. I'm not reading anything into it. I'm just bringing up a humorous thing. All right, that's it for this video. Take care, guys. Bye.